Do you ever wonder what's lurking right outside your bedroom window while you're sleeping? You'll never know till you set a game camera out, and it looks like I have plenty of animals and plenty big, but they're my automatic lawn mowing machines. The only thing, they track things up quite a bit, but for those beauties of animals, it's well worth every step they punch in to the lawn. To our surprise, we woke up to a winter wonderland. The snow was coming down and flocking the trees as if it were Christmas time. Our flowers are totally covered in white fluffy snow, as well as are all of our trees around. This was a very moist snow, so the branches on the trees are all hanging low. Just when our flowers were thinking about putting on new growth and starting to bloom, this happened. The front yard where the elk were grazing is now covered in thick white snow. Well, our electrical power all went out, and so we're without heat in the house. So we decide it's time to crank up the old wood stove and get it going. So I'm going to have to go down to Pacific City to get some new stovepipe for the stove before I can put it in. We'll knock the snow off the vehicle as best we can and negotiate the short drive to Pacific City to get some new stovepipe. Fortunately for us, the snowplows had been through here before us, so the road is okay. The snowplows have piled the snow up next to the guardrail, but it won't last that long in this area. Over the snowy little summit, around a curve, and the next thing we know, we'll be down in the valley where there are no trees and lots of dairy cattle that one time lived here. We get down and see the road is closed to go over Cape Lookout, but that's all right. We're not heading that way anyway. Through the little snowy town of Sand Lake, where it looks like several people have been out and around making their tracks in the snow. Past some dairy farms which no longer have cows. I understand they've sold out, and I don't know what's going to happen to them now. But this is Tillamook County, and Tillamook is the place where the Tillamook dairy products are made. Butter and cheese and milk and yogurt and everything depends on these dairies. We very carefully head our way toward Pacific City. It's sort of open country and a little snow's drifted on the road here, but it doesn't seem to be that slick. So we'll be down where we can see the ocean real soon. Another place where the snow's drifted across the road. Hey, this is the Oregon coast. This isn't Montana or Wyoming. Then soon we can see the Oregon coast, the waves lapping up against the shore, and they've melted some of the snow that was on the beach, only to the high tide line though. But the snow's starting to melt a little bit down on the beach by now, and so those waves are crashing in, and there's an east wind blowing, so the tops are blowing back off the breakers as they come in. Haystack Rock, still standing tall and dignified, looking over Cape Kiwanda and some of the beach erosion and the cape itself. The cape has just a little bit of snow on the top of it, as well as Haystack Rock, but that's really nice to see. Looks like it doesn't matter how much snow or how hard that cold east wind's blowing, that dog is still having him a one heck of a good time running in the surf, chasing balls and things. This is the place where the open dory boats launch into the ocean right off the sands of the beach. But there's nobody launching boats today as we move on toward home. A little bit of stubborn snow has still painted the trees on top Cape Lookout a very nice color of white, and there's still some snow on the beach at high tide line. But we get back home and things are just as snowy as ever, and this little bird is wondering where his bird seed is, and we totally forgot to get bird seed. So we'll make do with whatever we can find around. A little bit of outdated cereal and a little bit of bread would go real well for him about now, I expect. Since our electricity has been off, a little bit of smoke sure looks good coming out the chimney. And the little bird, he's not letting us forget that he's still hungry. So we'll have to scrounge him up something to eat. And we found some old bread. And he says that is pretty good eat. Bird sitting right outside our house on a post, wondering where his bird seed is. But I never thought about getting bird seed. So we'll have to just make do with whatever we can find around. A little bit of bread probably wouldn't be that bad. The snow's covered up all the feed that the bird usually eats, and so he's more than glad to take a crumb of bread to keep from starving to death. Our daffodils were coming up, getting ready to bloom, but I think maybe they better reconsider that. But they'll bloom, they'll be all right, and they'll come on later as the little bird very gently picks at a crumb of bread. And yet another snow comes, and it's not as much as before, but the little birds are still hungry, and we'll get some bird seed as soon as we get in town. After a couple days, that stubborn snow still hasn't melted, and now a few little ice pellets or sleet is coming down. But those birds are sure liking what we're feeding them. That'll keep them from starving to death till we get to town and get some of the proper feed for them. We didn't realize we had so many little friends till the snow came and we started feeding them quite a bit of stuff. Then Marge got a chance to go to town and got some regular bird seed, but by that time the snow had pretty well melted off and they didn't need any bird seed by then. They were able to get their natural feed out from the spots where the snow had melted. The flowers were all budded out and getting ready to bloom, but they can regroup and come again. It didn't get terrible cold compared to some areas. As near as I can tell, the little birds all survived. I found not one dead bird. There was plenty of little mouths coming by hungry, but there was trouble, and that was trouble in the form of a Steller's jay, and he'll come in and make a hog out of himself. He'll gather up everything he can and take it and hide it. Everybody's gone now. Everybody runs when the Steller's jay comes, and he looks around a little to see that the coast is all clear. He smelled a rat, so he took off, but he'll be back real soon. And there he is, and he's kind of making a pig of himself. He not only takes one piece, he takes all he can jam in his beach and flies up in a tree, and sometimes they hide it in the tree and come back for it later. So the little birds weren't happy to see him arrive, but he will go and we'll put out some smaller stuff for the little birds, and he doesn't bother with the small stuff. It'd be too much trouble to gather up the small stuff. He just gets the bigger pieces that he can load his beak up real good. Meanwhile, we're starting to put the flooring down in the house we're working on, and we're getting somewhere near through with it. I'll sure be glad to get this job done, but it's not a 5-minute job, and it'll take us a while